What's happening, American Culinary Federation? My name is Rocco Paradiso, and I, for one, am so excited to be here today. I am about to interview two outstanding, amazing individuals. Certified Master Chef Olivier Andrieni, and then also Chef Carlos Villanueva. Now, this started off as, how would you put it, modern versus classic, but it's truly evolved into something much bigger and much better, in my honest opinion. So it's all about mentorship. It's about these two individuals and how they've known each other for well over 20 years right now. And it's about how do we take the same dish, the same ingredients, but completely and totally frame it up a little differently. That, to me, is what Around the World in 80 Plates is all about. So Chef Carlos, Chef Andrieni, how are we today?
We're doing very well, sir. Thank you.
Oh, this is so great. I am so happy to be here. Chef Andrieni, at last we had a conversation, I believe, where were we? We were in Orlando, and you know, we were talking all about just different cuisines and how you're seeing them evolve. And I think this is truly an amazing opportunity to get both yourself and Chef Villanueva on stage together. Would you agree, sir?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Cool. And Chef Villanueva, do me an immense favor. Give us a quick background on yourself, please.
Sure. So I graduated from the Culinary Institute of America up in Hyde Park, New York. I stayed on and was very fortunate to be one of meat and fish fellowships or teaching assistants, where I spent almost a year learning fish and meat butchery. During that time is actually where I met Chef Andrieni while he was at the Culinary. And after my teaching assistant program, I went to Philadelphia to work with Chef. And after spending a couple of years with him, I got the amazing opportunity to work out in Spain. And I moved to Spain for about a year and worked in Michelin restaurants there. Then spent some time in Boston and then back to New York. 5 years in catering in New York, and now I'm back in Central Florida, helping run a catering company down here. So,
very cool. And Chef Andrieni, for those of us that are not blessed enough to know you, give us a quick background on yourself as well, please, sir.
I don't know if you're blessed because you know me, but so I was born in Switzerland in the French part, and I left Switzerland. I was about 27 years old. I spent almost 20 years in Canada on the East Coast and a long time in Vancouver on the West Coast. And then I saw an ad to teach at the CIA. And it would look good on my resume. So I applied, get the job, and I was sure it was for California, but no, I was shipped upstate New York. So I spent 10 years up there, meeting some of the guys like Carlos and Chef Scott and all these people are known and all of that. And at one point I guess like you talked to me earlier, I was sick and tired of the snow and the cold. So I said, I'm going to take a job in Philadelphia. It must be a lot better. As much I know about the US, so it was as cold and as bad. So 5 years later, I went to North Carolina. And then I retired and I got a kind of a job offer for 8 weeks in Texas to replace the chef who was leaving to find a new chef. And that's about 4 years ago, and I'm still there. So that's my background, guys.
So you're technically retired, chef, but you're still working. I love that. I think that's great. And here's one of the things that, we're talking about mentorship. And what would you say, Chef Andrieni, was one of the first things that came to mind when you met Carlos as a young, how old were you, Carlos? Like 18, maybe 20 years old, a young chef. What was one of the first things that came to mind? Like, what did you think when you met him?
Well, I guess he was having a lot of questions. He was always asking and asking and asking. And, you look at the guy and say, he's going to go far because he has definitely a big interest in food. He wants to know. Mm-hmm. That's not every student that way. And I guess that was the first impression. He really wants to know.
Yeah, so he wants to learn. And Carlos, if you can remember back that far, what would you say would be the best advice or information that you got from Chef Andrieni at that time that you can now parlay into some of your employees as well?
Sure. So back then, there were, you were at the CIA, which is the mecca of cooking. And as a student, being in that school, there were many chefs that we all looked up to and we wanted to emulate. So Chef Andrieni, in his own regard, was somewhat of a rock star. So approaching him, was a scary thing. And, so honestly, my first impressions of him were during the Certified Master Chef exam. That's the first time I saw him during his test. And, for all the days I got to see him cook, and my impression of him was precise. He was very organized, very methodical in how he approached cooking. And, I tried to take that back with me every day to the kitchens and in the classrooms and say to myself, how could I be more like that? It was a matter of organizing myself and having my tools in the right place. And, I kind of got scolded because I stood there and took notes the entire time. Everything he did, I wrote down in a notebook so that I could remember it and try to emulate that same thing. So it was really about becoming organized. And, it was just an amazing opportunity to watch him work, especially during the Certified Master Chef exam.
Sure. Now, would you say, Carlos, I'll direct this one to you, and then Chef Andrieni will get yours as well. Would you say when it comes to mentorship, be it you're trying to mentor somebody or you're getting mentored, you want to have that person be basically on the same wavelength. You want that mission to be the same. So find those individuals that are on that same path as you. Would you agree, disagree, or what would you like to add to that, Chef Carlos?
Well, I think that the path may not always be the same. A lot of times when we meet our mentors, they are at certain points in their careers or in their lives. And a lot of times we are in the beginning stages and we don't necessarily know what that path looks like. I think that focusing more on approach, being very open to, accepting criticism, but also not being afraid of asking questions and pushing yourself to become better. But path, we could have been on the same path, or we could have, diverged, and I could have gone in a totally different direction. But I think that it's a little less about path and more about approach, having the approach and willingness to learn and accept, feedback and, be able to ask questions. So
I like it. Chef Andrieni, what would you say to that, sir?
Yeah, I would agree with Carlos, definitely. For me, it was a little different because, I was an apprentice in Switzerland in 1968, where you didn't have much to say. You kind of keep it quiet, otherwise you have to butt kicked, literally. So it was different, but I guess for me it's the same. I got a guy in particular in Canada, in Vancouver, who took me under his wing and said, hey, you have great ability, but you're not using it. You're too stupid. You're running around on your motorcycle and you're not cooking enough. So that's where I actually get focused on cooking. When I was in Vancouver, I worked for the dude. His name is Bruno Marty. He was at that time the captain of the Canadian team and then become their coach. And when you work for him at its own restaurant, you have no choice. You're good or you leave. And I guess that's where a lot of what I do today came from. The way I'm organized, the way I do things.
Yeah, interesting. Now, Chef Andrieni, would you say, so mentors and coaches are so important throughout our whole entire life. And a lot of times we remember the ones, especially when we're a little bit younger, and how they kind of shaped and molded us. Would you say that it's ever too late to have a mentor in your life, sir?
Well, I just mentioned Bruno Marty. I was late 30 when I met him. So it was definitely a lot later than like Carlo met me, but it makes no difference. Even at my age, I can get somebody with a mentor for me today. Age doesn't count. It's how much you want to learn and from who.
Yeah, that's great. Chef Carlos, what would you like to say to that, sir?
I can't agree with more. I think that I was very fortunate to always have found really good circles to be in. When we were in Philadelphia, I obviously was being mentored, by Chef, but I also got the opportunity to work with, someone like Jerry Ford, who was, a few years ahead of me. His abilities were ahead of me, and, watching where he was and how he was going, is also a form of mentorship where it's not necessarily parallel, but it's close enough that you can touch it or see it. So I find myself, I think mentors is exactly the way Chef said it. It's just having the ability and want to learn from others, regardless of if they're older or younger than you. I learn tons of things from my cooks and my staff all the time, and I see them doing something different. I'm like, wow, that's different. So I understand that mentorship is more of a guidance, but learning is learning. So you're never too old to learn something.
That's very well put. Mm-hmm. Very well put. Now, we've talked about some of these amazing individuals that both of you have had some great interactions with. Chef Carlos, do you see certified master chef in your future, sir?
Well, I mean, I think that it's something that I've been tackling with for a really long time. That's obviously how I met Chef Andrieni. We spent a lot of time talking about it, and if there's something that sticks out to me in my mind, and it's a good thing, is we were walking to the dish pit. He was taking a container back, and we were talking, and I was kind of going back and forth of, what am I going to do? Do I want to take the test? Do I not? And he turns around really fast and he says, look, you have to decide. If you're going to take it, then take it. If you're not, then don't. He says, but it's a matter of choice, and you have to make that decision and then go for it. And to answer your question, I'm still in that point in my career. I'm still very interested in pursuing it. I just haven't found the right time in my life to do it. But every day since I watched his test has always been a day of preparation towards the test. So yes, I will take the test. It's just a matter of when is the right time. And sometimes you just got to do it. There'll never be the right time. You're always going to be busy, and but yes, I am going to do it, and it's going to happen hopefully sooner than later. I'm a young 35, so but we got to do it while we got a lot of enough gas in the tank. So
there you go. Chef Andrieni, what would you say to Chef Carlos after hearing that, sir?
Well, he knows exactly. Now he knows me well enough. Like he said, we spent hours talking. In Philly, we were going service, and I was trying to go home. The dude would show up at the doors of my office and start talking and talk and talk. And finally, I'm like, Carlos, can I go home? Do you mind? But no, it's what he thinks exactly right. At one point, you have to decide. You go, okay, I'm going to do it, and you just go for it. It may take a few years to feel right and you're ready to go, but you just have to decide. It's like a lot of things in life. At one point, you need to decide. You want to stop smoking, stop talking about it, just stop smoking. Decide, okay, next week, tomorrow, whatever, and then go for it. And I think that's the best advice. Just decide, it's no rush, but when you're ready, just go for it.
Yeah.
I would love to be there and be a judge when you're taking your exam, so don't wait too long, because otherwise you're going to have to roll me with some paint and I don't know what.
I think that would be even more pressure. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. What do you do, Chef Carlos, when you show up to the CMC exam and then all of a sudden there it is? There's Chef Andrieni just sitting across from you. You're like, oh, come on.
Well,
do you walk out or?
I'll tell you this. No, of course not. I think that, like I said, fortunate. I've been very fortunate to have obviously worked with Chef Andrieni, and because of that relationship, it's really given me the opportunity to make other relationships with other certified master chefs. And everybody, there's groups of chefs that will talk about certain certified master chefs and how tough they are and how meticulous they are, and they get nervous around them, even at their point in their career. And for me, it's not about nerves. It's really about not letting him down. All those hours that he talks about, that we spoke about, the day I take that test, it's going to be a proud moment for me, because it's going to be an opportunity to show that everything he did for me, and all those hours of talking and teaching and mentoring and are going to be worth it, because I'm gonna do it. I'm going to succeed through this incredible endeavor and goal. It's a mountainous goal for anyone to take on, and so it won't be fear. It'll be more of pride. I'm one of his guys. So I've already mentioned his name, but we both got to watch Gerald Ford take and pass the test, and I can't tell you how I got to see it online, which was really cool. Watching him cook, I was right there with him, like cheering him on, because I got to work next to him in the same kitchen with Chef Andrieni. So it's a very interesting bond that, that we have for life. And, I hope that I'm the next one, to be able to say, all right, I got it done as well, so it's more of pride than fear. So.
Nice. Chef Andrieni, what do you say to that, sir?
I say that I cannot wait the day you get this. He deserves it. He's ready to go. He has all what he takes. It's like finding the right time in your life, finding the time, like you say, you have a new wife, you have a different job, you need to find, but the time will come, and I'll be there to take you through, and I know you're going to make me proud. I know that. I know that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that, to me, that's what coaching and mentorship truly leads to. Chef Carlos, you said it best, is the thing that I did not want to do or I won't do is let him down. And I think, truth be told, like, you can take mentorship, once it becomes to that level, once it becomes so intrinsic that it's not a matter of, am I doing things right? It's, I don't want to let them down. That's when it basically goes from mentorship to coaching to a complete and total way of life. So I think that is absolutely huge. And Chef Andrieni, you may not know this or not, sir, but there's a very, very close friend of mine that actually went to try to take some practice for his certified master chef exam. And you were one of the instructors that were there just coaching people. And he said that the best advice that he ever received was from you. And you had said this to him, and I don't know if you recall this or not, but you said to him, Steve, you're already a certified master chef. What you need to do now is show those individuals that you're a certified master chef. And yeah, what that proved to him, and he kind of said that to me as I was coming up through the ranks, and I'm like, wow, that's profound right there. So things like that are what make you, like you said, Carlos, you don't want to let him down. So I truly appreciate everything that both of you have done, not only for this interview, but just for culinary in general. So Chef Andrieni, to watch you up on stage with Chef Scott last year, to see you all when you're doing your certified master chefs dying around, you're making yourselves as certified master chefs so approachable for all of these young and amazing chefs that are coming up through the ranks. And you keep inspiring chefs like Chef Carlos to constantly keep progressing as well. So my hat is off to the both of you gentlemen, and I'll give you each a little bit of closing comments if you would. Chef Andrieni, please go right ahead, sir.
Well, I'm kind of proud of what I done, what I achieved, and I'm happy where I am. And as long as I got good, like Carlos and Jerry and a few other ones, keep going and gonna keep the track going on with the path we have, I'll be a very happy retired chef, I tell you that. And I'm always going to be open to a phone call, and you know that. All the people that I teach know I'm open. I don't think I'm not unapproachable. I think I'm easy going. I know sometimes I look rough, but that's just the look. In the bottom of that, I'm easy going, I think. And Carlos can, I guess, say, can he agree with that, hopefully.
Nice. Well, of course. I think that being that I've been through a process, and been surrounded by chefs. I think my closing remarks would be to anybody who is finding themselves in school, out of school, in a really great kitchen, to just always push yourself to want and know more knowledge. I think that Chef 9 times out of 10 might have had the answer for me and gave me the answer, but you've also got to take it upon yourself to learn and to grow and read the books and try the recipes. We were speaking about this last night, but I am growing up in a different time where knowledge is really available and books are available and things are online and videos are online. But you still have to put in the effort to understand it and want to do it the right way. You can open a cookbook, and it doesn't mean you're going to be able to make the recipe, i.e. Le Guide, Escoffier, right? I mean, many of the challenges that most people experience, just taking a recipe and trying to, just replicate it, it has to do with knowing that knowledge. And, you got to find yourself someone who can help you find the way, but you have to take the steps. You have to put in the effort. And, Chef's door was always open. Unless maybe he was kicking one of us, but no, I'm kidding. But no, the door was always open, and he really, it would have been 11:30 at night, and somehow, I wanted to talk about a terrine or a force meat or something, and he always gave us time. And that's really it. As a mentor, and the thing that I try to do in my kitchens now is make time for others. I almost force it sometimes. I say, you know what, today we're making terrines. Who wants to stay after and do it? Or today we're gonna butcher some fish. Who wants to stay after and do it? So really trying to, spark the interest in progression. So.
No, that's great. Both of you have got so much knowledge, and the fact that you're both so willing to share it makes me so happy. And I truly, for one, cannot wait to watch your presentation. So, Chef Carlos Villaneuva, thank you so very much. Chef Olivier Andrieni, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. You're one of the greatest chefs that I see, that I get to interact with. So thank you so very much to both of you for that. And once again, around the world in 80 plates, I hope to see both of you gentlemen live very soon. Take care to both of you. Thanks again.
Thank you. Hello, welcome to our general session. So excited, awesome web-based demo with my chef and mentor, Olivier Andrieni, CMC. And we're super excited to kind of bring you a twist on modern versus classic. The modern versus classic traditionally takes a traditional dish and one of us will put a spin on it in a modern flair. We decided to kind of go a different direction. Chef and I are thinking about the different places that we work. So I work primarily in catering, and Chef is in a country club or a restaurant setting. So Chef, what are we cooking today? What's our theme? What's our dish?
I think the whole idea of the dish will be make a crudo. And like you say, doing two different presentations, me from a club, you from a catering point of view.
All right, and what theme are we gonna go for?
Well, I'm gonna go Spanish. So I'm gonna use Spanish mackerel to start with.
Awesome, and I'm gonna go Spanish as well, but I'm gonna be using an Ora king salmon. It's a farm-raised king salmon, which I really love, so I'm really excited about it. So why don't we get cooking?
You can get cooking whatever you want. We're gonna use, you know what you're gonna use. Are you using the green piquillo pepper or the red one?
Yes, I'm using the green one, the green piquillo pepper.
Good, me too, that's great, perfect. We're on the same page there.
Yes, sir.
I'm using pimenton, I'm using the sea salt from Spain, I'm using an extra virgin olive oil from Spain, I'm using aged sherry vinegar from Spain. I'm trying to stay Spanish. You know me long enough. When I pick a topic, I try to get everything going to it.
Yes, sir. So let's see, I'm using the green piquillo peppers, a little bit of pimenton, olive oil, and sherry vinegar as well. I'm using the Marcona almonds, doing a little bit of cava with some citrus, and let's see, the capers. There's these beautiful capers from the Basque Country that are super special, using those as well. So
that's good because I have the caper and the Marcona almond also in my dish.
I guess we're definitely on the same page.
Definitely both in Spain.
Yes, sir. So who's going to go first, Chef? You going to start cooking or am I going to start cooking?
I think I start cooking. I'm older. I may need the bathroom before you.
The better looking, Chef.
Oh, yeah. There we go. So I would like to say hi to everybody out there. And guys, when you're going to look at that, I hope you're going to enjoy what Carlos and I are going to do. I'm going to try my best, and I know he's trying his best all the way. So enjoy what you're going to see, guys. I hope you can take some away with you and use it wherever you work, because it's the whole point of a demo. It's making sure that people can use some of what we do. Okay? So first things I'm going to do, I'm going to clean the fish. And here we go. The fish is coming. So it's my mackerel. I got it in a wet towel. And I'm going to use the towel on the board so my board doesn't smell like an old fish for the rest of his life. So here comes the mackerel. You see the little yellow dots, and to show you then it's a Spanish mackerel. Soft, no scale, beautiful. So I use a large knife because I just like it. I think for me, it's easy. And I like to just remove completely the head. And then I'm going to make I'm going to remove the part of the belly with the little bone, and don't forget to clean your knife so you don't bring any of the bone or little scale to the next dish, because it will not taste very good. There we go. So that goes away. I keep it to clean my knife as we go. And on the top there, it's a little few bones. Then I'm gonna clean. And it makes my life a lot easy to take the skin off. When you take the skin off, make sure you fillet it close to the edge of the board so you can keep your knife flat. If you're in there, you have an angle, and then you're gonna leave meat on the perfectly easy. So here comes the fillet, nice and clean. That's a garbage item because I don't do stock with that. It's too greasy and too cloudy. Make sure you get your board clean as you do your demo, guys. You're gonna need the plate to put the pieces on, please. So I'm gonna cut from the tail, and I'm not using the tail, so I take it off. And then I'm gonna do about 5 pieces on an angle. And I have a metal plate that comes from the fridge, so it's nice and cold. One of the things you really have to watch when you do raw fish is your temperature. So the fish was in the fridge, it comes out, it's cold, the platter it goes on, it's cold, everything is cold. It's very important. You don't want to make nobody sick with your food. It's not a good sign when your GM call you and say, hey, so-and-so called last night, he went home and was sick like a dog. You do not want that. So I'm going to use 5 pieces. And just to tie the meat a little bit, I'm going to blowtorch it. Wow. I lost my blowtorch. Nobody steal it. Okay, so a little bit on the skin side. You can see the fish kind of moving, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. Voice. So that goes straight back to the fridge. Then what I'm going to do with a part of the rest of my body there, I'm going to make a little tartare because I have it and I don't have to get waste. So here we go. I'm going to remove the bloodline because it doesn't look good. So take it off. And then we're going to do a little dice. And Vicky is getting me a bowl or a double bowl with ice. So as I cut my fish, it can go on something very cold. So little diced. And as I say, you go straight. Yeah, you're welcome. So dicing the fish. Keep track of what you're doing. It's not easy. That's funny. Okay, so I'm gonna need a little platter, like the little brown one. Yep. So I can put that here and put that in the fridge for 2 seconds. And as you're in the fridge, I can take the, for the tartare. Thank you. So in my tartar, I'm going to use a little bit of these amazing capers who are very, very big. They're huge. It's big pieces, but they have an amazing flavor. Usually we always deal with the non-pareil, small little things. When these guys show up at the doors, I was like, what is that? But then you taste it and like, man, it's good. So I'm going to use that. What did you say, Carlos?
It's a great caper to use on it. Like, you don't have to soak it or anything. It really has a nice briny, not too salty texture.
I'm just surprised because usually when you take capers, it's always Italy.
Sure.
And then the caper berry are Spanish, but all of a sudden I get these Spanish caper who are very, very good. So we're using them. We made preserved lemon, so that's a quarter of it. I rinse it in water, and what I'm going to do is remove the flesh from it, because what you use, it's the meat, is the skin part. So you want to take all the flesh off, and you want to go deep. You don't want to see the white part anymore. You want to take that off. Can you get that, Vicky? Yeah? Capers also diced a little bit. I'm gonna add some of the caper in it. Remember, caper are a little salty, so be careful. A little bit of the lemon rind. Oh. It would be great if you go there. Then the next sticks we're going to use, I made a spicy mayo ahead of time. So in it, it has the mayonnaise, it has pimenton, the la vera, the real stuff, a pinch of sugar, a little bit sambal olek, that Malaysian chili paste, because it's nice and spicy, and I think it tastes better than what everybody uses right now, and I'm not going to mention the name. So that's my binding agent. About that much. I used little sea salt, just a bit. And then we mix it, and we're going to go back to the fridge till we need it later. Simple. I don't like to have 92 ingredients in my plate. I like things who are done simple and very good, and that's going to go back to the fridge. And I guess I'm glad I got gloves that I never used. You can put that one with a click on top of it. Thank you. So that's done, and I'm going to dump that in the sink. Okay, next step. We're going to use for the plating a piquillo emulsion. So what I done, I took the green piquillo, I put them inside the blender, and it's about a half a cup of the piquillo for people who are interested. It's about half cup of diced piquillo, a quart of jalapeno peppers, about half of a small shallot diced, and then I use 6 tablespoons of that amazing olive oil from Spain. So I get 6 tablespoons of that, and then 3 tablespoons of the aged sherry vinegar. That's difficult to find, but it's very, very good. So 3 tablespoons of that, and then again, sea salt, and I use that pepper then we use in the south of France called espelette. Comes in a little container like that. It has a DOC on it, that means nobody else can do it, and that's what went in. And then I put all the ingredients together, and I just blaze it. And I didn't want to do that during the demo because it's very, very noisy. So that's done, and it has a kind of a light green color. I don't know if you can see that. And Carlo, do you have any question right now?
Well, Chef, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm watching a very similar demo because we have a lot of very similarities in ingredients so far.
That's good.
I'm very excited to see this final dish, and I love the fact that you blow torch the mackerel. You know what the flame really does to the fat of that fish. I think it's going to be delicious.
But he's going to tie that a little bit, and then he has it better on your mouth. I think he has a better mouthfeel. Plating. We tried yesterday with Vicky. We played different plate, and one of what she makes and things then she doesn't make. And finally, we decide on that guy. I think it's the one who fits the shape of what we try to do the best. So obviously, it just comes out from the fridge. It's ice cold. And what I do the sauce first. And then I get some cool little vegetable. Then I will use. So, and I'm not trying to be the most modern dude because that's not who I am. So it comes down, and then we're gonna add the fish. Thank you. So when I put them on the plate, I actually flip them. So the skin part goes on the bottom. So try. There we go. Then I'm gonna add the tartar. I got a little ring. So I'm gonna put that at the end of the plate and put the tartar in. Whoa, what was that? Big bang in my headphone. We try to stay kind of clean. So again, like I say, guys, temperature control, that's what we're looking for. Everything is cold, plate cold, tartar cold, fish cold, sauce cold, everything. Very important. Now we're gonna finish the plate with little veg and little things that I get from a chef garden. I order a little basket and I say, give me some small veg, whatever you have, I don't care. I'm gonna use them one way or the other. So I received them and I obviously went through, look at what I want, and then I repack it. It didn't came in that box. That's a box that I have here. So my idea was the fish is kind of soft, and if I make a little salad or a little crudité with baby veg, then I'm gonna have something nice and crispy. And that was my idea. So and I leave some of the green because I think it tastes very good. So you get a baby carrot, you have a red radish, you have a purple radish, and then a little, oh, good. I forget the name of it right now, it goes away. Carlo, maybe help me here. The little white one.
Turnip?
Yeah, thank you. The little turnips. I get a long white radishes, which is kind of cool looking. And then I get the other half of my carrots.
Yeah, those vegetables are beautiful. They do such a great job.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then what I do a little micro cilantro over the tartar. So I first unmold. And I'm gonna get a few leaves there to give us some color. And I know people use tweezer. I'm very bad at using tweezer. Maybe I should. I can see actually what I'm doing. Because right now I'm kind of going in the dark. This morning I was outside in the garden. We have a garden just there out of the kitchen. And I saw that the dill is making flour. And I think they are very, very cool. And I think the taste should be amazing because the flavor, the smell, it's so strong. So I'm going to use one there. And then I got a pea tendril because I like the little things coming out. I don't know how you call that. I don't even know. Tendrils, there we go. And then, like every other crudo, you want a little olive oil on it. And yes, I put the garnish first because I wanted to have a little oil so you can taste it and it tastes good. Little of that amazing sea salt, the big one, big flake. On my veg also. Then a drop of the vinegar. Oh, leave it down the corner. Just a drop. Carlos, I'm doing good. And then crispness, Marcona almond. Just break a few with the side of your knife. Just break it. You don't want a powder, you just want pieces. And you bring crispness, saltiness, and almost smokiness. And I love that. Because we had smokiness in the sauce. So, and I just do a little bit. So, I guess that's good. Here. And now, okay, so you see the plate, you see what I done. That would be the way the people see it. And I was thinking, so that's a cool crudo. But what about if I make it as a soft chorizo, the real stuff in the freezer? And I realized, and Carlos helped me on that one, talking about the blue cheese, then you can actually microplane it, and it goes on like a powder.
That's excellent.
So you do that last minute, and again, that's ice cold, so it helps. So here we go for you guys. That's the way at the club we will present it. And now we don't do that a la carte. We do that for wine dinner. We're staying 12, 15 people, so it's feasible. Larger party, I don't have enough staff. I'm not in a 3-star Michelin where I have 30 people on the line. It's 3 guys with me who can actually kind of plate, and I do all that things on my own. So I hope you enjoy. It's too bad you cannot taste it, but I will very soon. And Carlos.
It looks great, Chef.
It looks just like you. It looks great.
We should.
Yes, sir. And now, Carlos, it's your turn.
Yes, sir. Great job. All right, so now I'm going to demo my dish, and what you're going to see is that there's a lot of similarities, especially in the ingredient and approach. Where we differ are going to be in the actual preparation of the actual food. One of the things that always I find to be challenging in catering is that we're kind of limited. The catering companies that I've worked for have all been an off-premise caterer, so we don't necessarily operate in a venue. So every place we go to is a new kitchen that we set up from scratch. So part of the demo is going to be focusing on how to really do that and find a way to still deliver a restaurant quality food or maybe even a Michelin quality dish to a larger audience. So I'm kind of going to start with talking about ingredients. I think that the raw material that you work with is as important as the technique that you apply to it. So my dish is really composed of Ora King salmon, which I think it's a beautiful, naturally and sustainably raised king salmon in New Zealand. It's really considered by many as the Wagyu of the ocean. And with that, we're going to pair tons of beautiful Spanish products. So I'm going to kind of go through my garniture and tell you how I got from the raw material to the finished product, and then we're going to do a little treat. So the first thing I want to talk about and show you are these beautiful piquillo peppers. So most of us are familiar with the piquillo pepper, but what is actually happening here is they harvest them while they're green, and they still roast them with wood in barrels and then hand peel them. So it has a really beautiful smoky flavor and meaty texture, but you also have almost a slight greenness to it. So I've actually made a puree, and I've taken peppers, the green peel peppers, and a little bit of olive oil, and gently simmered it, and then made a puree. Very, very simple, very straightforward, so that you don't lose the flavor of the peel pepper. Next is this beautiful orange puree or orange gel. So this is basically Valencia oranges that I've cooked down in a little bit of honey, a little bit of a simple syrup made with the honey, a bit of castor sugar, and then we cook it with a little bit of agar-agar. So I'm using 2% agar-agar in here, and we let it set, and then we puree it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few hydrocolloids today, and one thing that just very, very simple to remember about hydrocolloids, it's really 3 steps. You have to understand how to shear or disperse the hydrocolloid. You have to cook it to a certain point to hydrate it, and then you have to let it set. And 9 times out of 10, the setting on most hydrocolloids is just a cold temperature. Some of them do set while they're hot, but agar-agar is beautiful because we're able to take a liquid and actually turn it into a gel-like texture. So one of the things that I recommend, most people take the actual orange juice, sugar, and they cook it with the agar to get it to set. What I do is actually take the water and the sugar, cook it with the agar, and then add it to the fresh juice. That way I can actually keep as much of the freshness as possible, okay? Next is, I took my Marcona almonds and I lightly toasted them, and I made my own Marcona almond milk, okay? So this is 5 parts water to 1 part Marcona almonds. After doing that, I set it with 0.1% of Gellan gum. Now, if you look at it, it's very, very firm, okay? And I was actually able to char it on a wood-burning grill. So one of the things that I love about Spanish cooking is that a lot of the food is actually cooked on wood-burning apparatuses. So you really get that smoky, charred flavor into the pudding. I'm calling it a pudding because actually the texture of it, it really does resemble pudding. It holds up straight, and it has that beautiful, almost, if you can imagine, cheesy-like component to it. And it's 100% vegan on top of that. One of the things that I've really tried to find a way to do is cook food that really gives an opportunity for everybody to enjoy the meal. You know, we do have a lot of vegan diners, vegetarians, and we're constantly trying to find a way to also give them the equal and same experience. Next is, so Chef was talking about preserved lemons. So I actually have a method for making a very quick preserved lemon. So we have lemons. This is a mixture of salt and sugar and a mandolin. Now, I want to make sure that, you know, whenever you guys are working with a mandolin, that, you know, you make sure that you have gloves on, just so that you don't cut your finger. But also, a lot of, you know, this is a preservation method. So these lemons will actually hold up for at least about a month, okay? Normal preserved lemons, you would store them, pack them with salt, and let them sit for almost 6 months. These only going to take 24 hours. If you can put the container and wrap it in plastic wrap and actually put it into a cryovac machine and just compress them, then you can use them within 20 to 30 minutes. So all I do is take the bottom off, and got to adjust the mandolin here. For these kind of projects, I tend to save a mandolin, so that way I get really nice cuts. And you go all the way down. Now, all you got to do, seeds and all, you're going to pop it into the bowl, You sprinkle on the salt and the sugar. Now, typically what I like to do when I'm doing really big batches, I do 5% salt and 5% sugar of the actual weight of the lemons. So you slice all your lemons first, then you weigh it, you put 5% salt, 5% sugar. A really cool tip is that you could actually add any kind of spice mix that you would like in here. You could also add dry herbs and any kind of other seasonings. This works on lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruit, you name it. So this is obviously not a traditional preserved lemon, but it's more of a quick method, okay? So what I've done with these lemons is I then, after about an hour or so, if I've compressed them, if not the next day, if I don't have a cryovac machine, I rinse them off, okay? I then add a little touch of olive oil, and then I char them on a grill. Now, what happens is almost magical. You really have to take it to the point where it's charred. I'm not talking a little bit of color, I mean almost burnt to a crisp. That combination with a little bit of sliced onions and these beauties, these are Persian limes, okay? So they take limes and they basically, almost like the same process you would find in black garlic, and kind of look inside, the actual fruit becomes black in color, just like the black garlic. And it has a very beautiful, almost earthy and funkiness to it. Just like when you smell black garlic or when you smell preserved lemons. All of that together makes this amazing puree. So I'm a big fan of using a pressure cooker. So I put all these items into an electric pressure cooker, and then I end up with a beautiful puree. So obviously I'm talking about a lot of mise en place. You're gonna see everything as I'm plating it, because for catering, you really don't have enough space to start production in these kitchens. So you have to be really prepared and calculated to be able to pull off some really beautiful dishes in really small confines of space. The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to make a little salsa with the green piquillo peppers, some fresh segmented citrus, and these beautiful capers that Chef was referring to that he used in his dish as well. And then I also, something that's kind of simple, and to me it's simple, and it really can be a really cool addition to any plate, is making your own rice crackers. So this is super simple. Typically, so I took bomba rice and about 4 parts water, okay? So normally when you cook a short grain rice, you typically will do 2.5 to 3 parts water, depending on the dish or the final use. But for this, you want more water, because after you cook the rice, I typically cook it for about 25 to 30 minutes, so you're overcooking the rice. You then puree it. So I take maybe 1/3 of the rice and hold it to the side, and then I puree the 2/3, fold in the whole kernel, the whole rice that's cooked, and then you basically put it on parchment paper and you pop it either in a really low oven, about 150 to 160 degrees, or in a dehydrator if you have one. The next day, it's clear, translucent. All you need is a 350 fryer, and you get these beautiful crackers that have all these beautiful shapes. Chef, we could have used this kind of a cracker maybe to serve your tartare as an hors d'oeuvre in a catered event. We're going to start plating. So one of the things that I think is really important when we're talking about plating, and Chef really talked about this during his demo, is the temperature. Okay, in a kitchen, we have refrigeration on site. At a venue, we really don't have all of the refrigeration we need, so we have to get very creative with ice and coolers and good hotel pans and things like that. So it's very much, I'm a stickler for temperature of things. If it needs to be cold, it's got to be cold. So the last thing we're actually going to put together is this, the little salsa. It's very, very simple. It's some segmented orange, and these are Valencia oranges. So I have a lot of components, but in reality, the amount of ingredients that I have are actually a small amount. All I've done is taken the same ingredients and repurposed them in different ways. So if I have segment of orange, I have an orange gel, okay? And I'm using the peel of the citrus as well in my gel, and I'm also using it in something that I'll show you later. So it's really repurposing all these ingredients. So I'm going to take a little bit of our beautiful Spanish olive oil, dress it. Super simple. The thing that I love about Spanish cooking is that in some cases it is very simple, and in some cases it's very modern or elaborate, but always about emphasis on the product itself. So if it's a piquillo pepper and it's an emulsion of piquillo pepper, or it's a spherification of piquillo pepper, I guarantee it's going to taste like piquillo pepper. It's not going to taste like anything else. They're a very proud people. Having lived there for about a year, working in Michelin restaurants, I saw some of the most beautiful products used in very simple ways and in very modern ways, but always the same. Keep it simple, and it's got to taste like what it is. So I have a little bit of parsley. I think that a big part of eating is also, with your eyes. If the dish is put in front of you and you really are excited to eat it, then you've already won. It's got to taste good, but it's also got to look good. So I have my salsa. So first thing I'm going to do is I have my orange gel. So how you put the food down is also very important to how you eat it. I've tried to think about my own preference and how I like to eat things, and I kind of go for a little bit of a random plating. And I think about it in the sense that if you eat a bowl of risotto, it's delicious, but the first 4 bites are the best bites. After that, you just eat it because you love it and it's delicious. But the first 4 bites are really what you're waiting for. So I try to actually put things in certain places only so that the diner only has maybe 1 or 2 bites of that small combination or a different combination. So I'm going to take my gel, okay, and all I'm going to do is put it in my spoon and drop it down and let it stay where it lies. For catering, I really think that the visual effect is incredibly important because we don't have a lot of lighting. Typically, you're in a dark room and you can't see the dish, so you have to make it really stand out. You've got to think about not only the balance of the dish, but also the texture and the architecture of what it looks like to really make people want to come and try that dish. So next is going to be our beautiful, I call it a pudding, because it really has that pudding-like texture of the grilled Marcona milk foam. So kind of the way Chef put down his ingredients, it's not all in one spot. It's not that, center of the plate. Now I'm doing a small plate, okay? And what that is in my mind, the way I interpret that is, it's a dish that, is meant to be 3-4 bites max. So, next step is going to be my salsa. Now, if you pay attention, you still haven't seen the fish, which is the star of the crudo, and that's because it's staying on ice. That's the absolute last thing I'm going to do, is slice the fish and put it on the plate. In a very big catering environment, we would have a team of, depending on how many dishes we're doing, but it could be a team of 3 to 5 people that are all working on this dish, and each person may have one step. So next is our beautiful little salsa, and again, randomly putting it on the plate, making sure that I, utilize the whole dish. What I'm also doing is building areas where my fish can actually have some height. Because when you slice a piece of fish, normally it just lays flat on the plate. So you have to either stack it on top of itself or on top of other ingredients. So the next thing is this beautiful puree that I made with piquillo peppers. Again, I want to now use the outside of the plate. Because if I put everything too close, then what ends up happening is that you lose the design and you don't see it any longer. So next is going to be the fish. So on ice, I've had my beautiful cured or a king salmon. And what I've done is actually cured it in sorrel. Okay, so once it's on the sorrel for over about an hour or two, it gets a beautiful, beautiful purple color pigmentation on the outside. We used to do something like this, Chef, remember in Garmager, we would do the beet cured salmon, and it has the same effect. Yeah.
That's a long time ago. Poof.
So all I want to do is actually just dry the fish a little bit, so that way it doesn't color everything else on the plate.
No,
I'm just going to remove a little bit of excess moisture. And you know, this same technique works really well on hamachi as well. So when I slice raw fish for crudo, you know, I try to be further back on the cutting board. I also tend to use, you know, a long knife so that I'm not pushing down on the fish. And the motion is really forward and back. And what I try to tell people, especially when they start, to get really even slices, and this is, you know, obviously learning how to cut a terrine properly, is really stand almost at a right angle and keep your back straight so you get a beautifully even slice. So, gonna remove the end. The end is always for the chef. And I'm gonna make my first slice and forward. Two. And 3 slices. Okay? And again, I'm gonna get this fish back on ice. So, just so you can see, you got the beautiful marbling and then the purple around the side. So now I'm gonna lay my fish, and what I like to do is kind of going in different directions. And you see my fish now has height, and I can actually even stand it up because of the other ingredients that are on the dish already. At this point, we have one thing left really is, you know, a little bit of, you know, herbs. And I'm very big on herbs, and, you know, Chef also used a variety of herbs, which, you know, maybe that's where I honestly get it from. But, you know, I think that herbs are readily available and underused by most chefs. You can get so much flavor out of herbs in a dish, and I just feel like maybe in many cases they're overlooked. You know, I think tons of herbs. I'm very big on herbs. I love them. So I have a little bit of verbena and a touch of fennel fronds, some micro basils. So super simple.
You're on.
Now, this is what we would do for a catered event. But the beauty is that this is actually what is done in the back of the house. Okay? So I'm going to kind of give you a tip or a secret or just something to walk away with. So in the back of the house, in one of my events, we would do this about, I would say, 60 to 75% of the way. So everybody in the back would be working on this dish just like this. And then it would actually be brought into the dining room and finished in front of the guest. Typically, we would plate the fish just like I plated earlier in the back of the house, and we would plate them on platters. These platters are equipped with ice and garnishing, a little bit of seaweed to keep the bottom, and some different edible grasses and things to keep the bottom of the plates clean. This would be a stationary setup that would be in the dining room or in a venue. So in the back of the house, we would plate the fish and then bring the ice tray out and actually put it into the station. Now, one more, I think, a good way to put another special touch on it is the idea of finishing the plate. So I'm going to finish it in front of you and kind of walk you through it. So this is the beautiful black preserved lime gel that I made with the lemons. And again, it's all about theatrics and really bringing a sense of wow to the guests. Our beautiful rice crackers right at the end. And this is what would take place in front of the guest. a little bit of smoked paprika, just a touch, on our rice cracker. And then the last thing is this beautiful Japanese ice shaping machine. So what I've taken is kava, a simple syrup, and all of the citrus rinds and peels, and made a granita. But the real beauty of this is not about the frozen granita, because it's very hard to keep this frozen. But this also goes back to the question of temperature. So when I put it on the top of the fish, as it melts, it's keeping that temperature of that fish really beautifully and cold, and it's also working as a sauce. And at the beautiful temperature that it is right now, it's almost like a sheet. And again, this is something that you typically wouldn't see in a catered event, which is something frozen outside of maybe an ice cream station or something like that. Typically, you don't see any frozen items with anything savory. So even if the dish were to sit here for a couple of minutes while I'm waiting on some guests to come forward, right? Some of them would have the beautiful experience of having the granita as is, or maybe as it's melted. And again, the whole point of it is just to keep the temperature of the fish, and it also adds a little bit of flavor and citrus to our dish. One last beautiful little thing is, again, a little bit of theatrics is I've also built in some pans that hold dry ice and give you a really cool effect. So as our diners walk up, they'll see the dry ice, and again, it's really showing them that it's cold. There's ice under this. And that's our dish.
That's very cool, Chef. I like that.
Thanks, Chef.
Oh, you're welcome. I may steal the idea. Be careful.
Chef, it would be an honor if you stole something from me. I appreciate that. And it's really, it's been awesome to cook with you. Working through, all of the technical things and kind of what we're doing right now. I obviously would have wished to have been there with you and, cooking with you, but this was definitely an awesome way to kind of get together and cook some food and, maybe show some people something different about a Creole. So.
Yep, I enjoy that too. I think it's cool. It's just too bad we're not really together, but it's not bad at all. I mean, I can hear you, see you, and it's cool. It's very cool, Carlos. Thank you for having me sign in.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for accepting. It was really an honor, and thank you to the ACF for having us and allowing us this platform to still be able to communicate to all of our friends and colleagues that are out there that can't come to a physical convention, but now they can see us kind of putting some food together.
Yep, it's exactly that. Yes, sir. Thank you, Carlos. It was really, really cool.